Welcome to the Black and Unblending podcast, where we discuss the internal family systems model through the Black experience. Introducing Kayla Bell Consolver, licensed mental health counselor, Alicia Jackson, licensed professional counselor, Linda Mayepa, traditional doctor of African medicine, and Shanika Williams, licensed clinical social worker. This podcast is for learning purposes only. This is not medical or mental health advice. Welcome, everyone, back to the Black and Unblending podcast, the space where we talk about IFS through the Black experience. This is our second episode, and you will notice a face missing. It's a part of us, our collective is missing. As Kayla could not be with us today, but she is definitely sending self energy our way. I know she is, and we will, welcome her back next time. And we still have two brilliant minds joining. This is Shanika Williams and Linda Mayepa. I say that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just their name the real way, right? The real way, you know what I'm saying? So thank you, Linda. Then, of course, I'm Alicia Jackson, licensed professional counselor, and we have a really interesting topic to talk about today that I'm excited to see where we go. But first, we starting with the parts party. Yeah, it was kind of like the check-in, like, hey, how you and your parts been doing? Any parts been communicating some interesting things to you? What do you want to name? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Yes, Linda.
Nika's laughing, making me laugh.
Yeah, I see y'all looking at each other, but they gonna jump in. Yeah, go ahead.
Linda here. I realized that I think of myself as a calm person. Nobody else does. Nobody else does. And you know what? I'm not a calm. I don't know where I thought that. I don't know where that came from.
Hmm.
But I got a lot of energy in here. There's a lot going on all the time. And I always thought, oh, this is an exception. No, it's not. It's not an exception. So, yeah, that's where I am. Kind of like looking at myself in a new way. Noticing, noticing that, you know what? I tell myself some stories about myself. And I don't need to be doing all that. That's actually that's draining actually. Okay? That is draining.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just sitting here like so surprised and in wonder because I'm like, I don't know why I was telling myself that story. Actually, I have some ideas why, but it's like, oh, it's like I get to meet myself. I get to meet myself again. It's like, hi, me.
Yeah.
I'm me. Yeah, so that's what's bubbling through me at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like, oh, we got all this energy up in here. Even though
Yeah.
there was one that's like, we're a calm person. I'm like, no, we're not.
No. Mm-mm. I don't know why I tried that. I was playing with.
Right. I love it. I love it.
I'm complete.
Even
I'm gonna
period.
ask.
You complete. Yeah.
Ask. Period.
Right.
Um, let's see who's here. I feel a bit tired, but I also feel like this sense of energy. Because I know I have my final assignment for this semester that's due. So I'm trying to get it finished before the weekend so I can relax.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because in doing this assignment, um, I just recognize how extra that I am. Like how I'm not going to do the bare minimum. And then I'd be like, do I be making stuff harder than it has to be? But then when I look at the product, it stands out where it's like, no one can, how should I put it? This is stuff that can't be duplicated. Like this is because this is you able to use your
Right.
creativity to, um, when you're able to bring creativity into like, you know, your homework assignments, like I like to play with it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm.
Um, and just realizing how much it helps with my learning.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, so I have parts like, man, what if school was just like this? Like, we was just able to just be creative in how we learned because it, for one, it makes sense, right? Like, as far as like, why do we have to have learning look a certain type of way? But when you allow like someone to express themselves in a way that feels authentic and allow space for other parts to show up in learning, it's like, oh, we can create some beautiful masterpieces. So, but then there's this part like, girl, like we trying to be done so we can relax this weekend.
Like, what you
And
doing?
that's what I'm like, you know, that's what's here because it's just like we ain't even have to make it this difficult, but it looks nice. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Good. Good.
Mhm.
Okay. I like that. It's a part that's putting a little razzle dazzle. Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
this, like this Shanika's project. Okay.
That's
Okay.
right.
Exactly.
Bring in. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah. When you were saying that, I had parts that were like, man, yeah, if school was like that, yeah, we would go back. We would go back and get our doctorate degree, but it's like, no, we gotta endure it. No, we don't have,
Yeah.
we don't have to. So it's like, nope. Um, yeah. A part that's been around for me is because I've been doing a lot more. Um, I had a lot of heavy lifting of work to do like this week, and I had a part that was like, "You're actually getting things done. Like you're getting all of this done, all of this done." And I'm like, "Yeah, we like. What do you think? What's happening?" Like the part that was like, but this part is so in like just so in awe. So I'm like really curious about like who they see. Uh,
Mm.
and then they were just so shocked about how, yeah, like we're some finalizing things, some transitioning from group practice to private practice, and so it's been just a lot of leg work and things
Mm.
to get done. But at the same time, the work feels good too, because there is a notice that I thought that the work was gonna feel like heavy, but it doesn't feel heavy, and so that's nice too. So maybe that's why that part is like you get things done, because I'm like, yeah, the work doesn't feel heavy. It feels like, yeah, this is good. This is for us. This is what we want to do. This is what we want to do. So um, my part that meant we're gonna spend some time with figure out who they seeing. Um,
Mhm.
but as we already been dropping little hints of noticing, we're talking about the power of notice and noticing. Us doing IFS, internal work. Um, Notice is the kind of like the first step into this. Noticing our internal world, who's at the control panel. That's what I say, or like use as a way to talk about it with my clients, like referencing inside out, like who's at the control panel, who's pushing the button,
Mhm.
and who's making decisions, um, and noticing, how we respond to things, big responses. Um, and for me, I know during my level one was like when I really, really started to hone in on my parts. Like I'm learning the model and like writing down parts at the same time. I think I mentioned that our last episode. So that was like my first time where I really started to notice, and then there's just been like so much more deep noticing. So I wanted to see when you start to first notice your own parts or like notice your own system and what that was like. I'm getting them with these questions, y'all. It's just,
It's all right.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah, I was noticing your little right movement that you did there with your hand, and I was thinking, so for me, I started noticing in my level one training too, my
Mm,
different parts, and I would just write them. on my phone in the notepad. And for months, I was like, yeah, I've got like a page or two of notes, of parts. By the time I looked, let's just say it was a lot more than a page or two. It was a lot more. There were so many parts. And I gotta tell you, it was so good because every line item basically in the notepad, there was a story
Yeah.
from when I worked with that part, when I got to know, when I listened to the story they had, the information they had to tell me, why they'd shown up, the work that we did. It's like, it's amazing. Even now, looking back on it at the journey. So yeah, I love
Mhm.
noticing parts, writing them down, talking to them later, working with them, listening. Yeah, it's been really, really important to understanding things that confused me for a long time.
Right?
And not just with me, right? With others too. But we can talk about that later.
Yeah. 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 I feel that tug too to want to go to like uh, there, but yeah, starting with us. Yeah. Shanique, what about you? What it's like start to notice your own parts, what that journey was like for you.
Yeah, when you asked that question, like I heard like this part like scream. It was an identity crisis, and I was like, "Oh wait, hold up, what?" And then I started like really thinking about like that experience, like it was during a really hard time
Mhm.
in life, and there was this part that thought that it was me, right? Like just,
Yeah.
and when I was able to see it, it was like, oh my goodness, like I was like, wow, like this is not me. This is a part of me. And I think it was like so much like dysregulation because it was like, well, how do I like put this back together? Because I like helped keep you out for
Right.
so long as a form of
Mhm.
protection. And now that you are starting to be aware, you're starting to notice some stuff. And once some blinders come down, I couldn't put them back up. Yeah.
Ooh, Shanika, you naming a couple things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The identity crisis when you start to realize that, oh, this is a part of me. I'm doing this out of protection. This isn't
Mm-hmm.
who I am. Like the essence of me, right? Like, ah, like that shift is can be a lot to sit with. Even just like I think I have a part of me that still kind of it gets at me. It's like it feels like I'm sometimes I don't take as much time as I need to with my system. And I feel
Mm-hmm.
like what you're naming is so huge of sometimes it's just unblending from a part, which means like getting some separation where you start to notice a part and then okay, like that in itself can take like you can process that for almost a week. Just like selling into
Mm-hmm.
that like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
This part of me that like strives, right, at work is not this is a part of me, right? Like or this part that
Mm-hmm.
is like, huh, okay. Not who I am. The second thing, I'm trying to I remember what you said, and the partner was like, you should have wrote it down.
Was it
Mhm.
the blinders?
Yes,
The blinders.
yes, the blinders. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
because our parts are not trying to be seen, right? They're really not trying to be seen. They really like being undercover, right? Right. So the fact when we start to notice them, they're like, "Don't look at me. Don't look." All right, like, mm-mm. And then,
Yep.
and then when we like put the spotlight on them, like when we focus on them in like a therapy session, what they really, sometimes that could be a lot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. So, ooh,
Mm-hmm.
huge. Because
Yeah.
sometimes being seen, what does that mean, and what has that been for us, right? You know,
Mhm.
especially as in our identity and our like being seen and our parts being seen, that can just be so much. And so just taking time with that. I think what I've come accustomed to doing, I feel like it just is kind of a part. I've seen other trainers do this, or but it also felt start to feel like really natural for my system. It's just like, oh, welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like when a new part comes up, or um, once starts to speak, and like, hey, yeah, welcome. So glad you
Mhm.
came in.
And the grief that can come up with that, because I remember that's how I would describe myself. I'm like, oh, I love to work in the background. I don't like to be seen.
Hmm.
And when I was able to notice, like, oh, that is not all of me, that is a part, there's like some grief that's happening, right?
Yeah,
That part. It's like, ooh, well, who am I? Right?
yeah, right.
Mhm.
Because I think sometimes our parts, do become a part of our identity and how
Yeah.
we like whether it's like, oh, I'm a servant, right? Like I live to serve people, right? Or
Mhm.
like you said, like, oh, yeah, I like being in the background. That's where I like to be. Or, right, I'm a calm person, right? Or, like all that, like these labels, like we start to get our parts get comfortable with for whatever, for protective reasons for us. And then we come to realize, like, oh, no, this isn't like who we are. Then there's like, hmm,
Mhm.
yeah, that could bring up so much grief, questioning. Um, yeah.
There's um there's a comfort that comes from having a known role, right? A known identity,
Ooh,
you know, because we live, right? We live in a world which wants us to have very specific identity, very
Mhm.
to be a very specific way.
yeah,
And if we see that we're more than that, yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot of things that follow if you accept that, oh yeah, I this is a part of me, and other things then can be parts of me. And then who am I, and even where am I? What am I doing here? there
yeah,
it's we're so big inside of ourselves and in the world that often asks us to just be one thing, that only
Mhm.
accepts us as
that's,
only.
that's one thing.
Mhm.
Linda, you that like when you said that, our parts are so wise. They pick up on everything. They watch everything, and so they got the messaging of like, what's the safest thing for us to be, or what's the role that we play that's going to get us the most praise, or to in our communities,
Mhm.
to get us more acceptance or feel more seen. Like, oh, if we're diligent servants, if we always say yes, or if we whatever, right, role,
Mm-hmm.
especially as right, in our again in our identity as Black people, like what feels the most safe for our parts to be, and then we find out like, oh, I'm a Black woman, yes, but like my identity as like a caretaker or as a nurturer, it's not completely my
Mhm.
full identity. Like, oh, like I can use my voice. I can like use my voice. Like all of that, then it becomes like a completely different conversation sometimes, I think, for our parts too, in negotiating about like coming into our fullness of self and what feels safe, right,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
to do, because the world hasn't changed, right?
Mhm.
But now we know, and so now we know what can we negotiate, what can we do. Yeah,
Mhm. And it's so, interesting, Linda, when you brought that up, like, who am I? It brought me back to when I was a little girl, and I would look in the mirror and I would ask, who are you? and I would
Mm.
feel the separation starting to happen, and then it would scare me. So then I'll be like, "Oh, I'm Shanika," right? But I was already asking those questions because I didn't feel like just one thing. And I remember I would do that to myself sometimes, just looking at me like, "Who are you?" And if something started to show up, it was like, "Oh, this is scary. All right, nope, I'm Shanika. That's it."
Ooh, that's so much wisdom that was happening even
Hmm.
then.
Hmm.
Yeah, so much wisdom that was happening even then. Wow.
Kids are
Yeah.
brave and wise.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I
And
mean,
learning how to, when you do start to be able to distinguish, like, oh, it's not that I don't need to be afraid. I just need to learn how to walk with fear. I need to learn how to live with fear. And that started to open
Ooh.
up like so many like different aspects of my life where I'm like, okay, fear, you here. All right, what we rolling to today?
talk to me, right?
Right? Yeah.
Well, I think too that sometimes, right, the messages that even right, we get, and it's so interesting that this I think comes coming up to around fear, because there's a lot of messaging around, um, are we as Black people allowed to be afraid? Uh,
Hmm.
Mm.
right. A wise pen, wrote, "I ain't never scared," right? So I just and like it, and that's right. That's we know that anthem, right? That's a song that's out.
Hmm.
I think too, right? Because it's a part of like the hard exterior that parts of us have taken on, because we have to have this exterior to survive.
Yeah.
Then, like, if we have parts that are scared, like if we notice, like, oh, I have a part that's scared to speak up, or I have a part that's scared to go for this promotion, or to just to walk in my school and be myself, right? Or
Hmm.
whatever it is, then building a relationship with that part or noticing that part can sometimes be even scary. Just noticing, like, we have parts that are scared. We like, oh, hold on now, because that's not safe for us to be scared,
Hmm.
right? Or,
Mhm.
uh, like,
Ooh.
Yeah.
What do we
Or
do
even
with our
having
noticing?
yeah,
that, or even having like our faith question when we do notice fear, like like from that
Mhm.
religious aspect, like, oh, you're not supposed to like be afraid, like you got to trust it and God. It's like I trust in God, but there's still a part that's scared,
yeah.
right? So feeling like, okay, am I not doing enough?
Mhm.
Like,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes time, which we all know, right? We know this, but I think it just takes so much time to welcome it all, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Like welcome it all, but it's definitely a process. Sometimes just in the noticing and
Hmm.
noticing our response to what we notice, right? Just like
Hmm.
continue on that path of noticing, and I think Shanika, oftentimes we do what like little you did in that mirror when you said, "Who are you?" And then like we notice like something, and we're like, "Oh, never mind." Right? Like we, like we do that more than we realize, and we're like, "Oh, I'm scared." Oh, no, I'm not. Right? It's like like yes, yes, you are. You're scared, unless like,
Hmm.
what if they're scared? What if we allowed this one who's scared to just to be here, right?
Hmm.
That it's a part of you. It's not all of you. And then yeah, what else do you notice as you notice in that part, right? Like so, just noticing can open up more space, which I think we also named last week, which is like for self acceptance.
Yeah.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
right. Like of who we are, but then also to like the parts inside of us,
Hmm.
right? Like in space. Mm.
Yeah, especially when it has been like again that safety aspect, like that's not supposed to be there. So trying to learn how to welcome it is like, oh, it can be hard to sit with that when it's been like it wasn't safe to be seen or to be noticed. So like learning how to operate in the shadows, right? It's yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah.
Noticing, welcoming it in. That's yeah. When you're saying that, I get all of these like memes that come up across my mind of like the teen telling their parent like, I can't wash the dishes, mom, I'm depressed. And they're like, you better depress those dishes.
Yep.
You can quote that.
Right.
That's a quote and it feels like, of the black experience. However, I think it was 50 Cent who was talking about it in an interview saying that depression is a luxury. Um,
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
and I get what he's saying, right? In that when survival is the thing at the forefront, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's time to sit with your sadness. Who has time for that, right? Who has time to be with the like your hurt, and
Mm-hmm.
we're just trying to survive. And so like our noticing journey is like allowing our parts to know that, which is I think it's a nuanced way because again, the world outside world is not changed when we notice, but
Right.
Mm-hmm.
to know that and inside of us, right, there's safety.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell them, like they deserve an outside world that's safe, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
where,
Ooh, and some stuff happened with that statement. Inside is safe, right? Like, ooh,
yeah, like here, like
yeah.
here, we can hold the
Mm-hmm.
sadness, even though like the
Yeah.
outside world can't meet it for, right?
Mm-hmm. Because I think that's what we try to do. We try so hard to make the outside world safe, like whether it's with our
Mm.
family, friends, like these systems that are in place, and we, it can be so draining,
Yeah.
so like dimming of your light. And when that shift happened, when it was like, oh, I can go inside and learn how to tend to these parts that show up. That was such a mindset shift for me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, where I'm like, hey, we get to choose. We
Hmm.
get to choose how, like, what we respond to.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm here. I can tend to you. This person may not change, but I'm here. I can speak, learn how to speak for you.
Yeah. The capacity to turn noticing into new choices available
Ooh.
is one of my favorite things.
Ooh.
Yeah, because when I wasn't noticing, I was just doing stuff. But once I started noticing, I started asking questions. I'm like, what? Nah, I don't need to be here. I don't need to be around people like that. I don't need none of that.
Hmm.
And conversely, other things I noticed, I was like, I want more of that in my life. How do I get more of that in my life?
Yeah.
You know, I feel good. I feel easy. I feel free. Let me move towards that.
Yes.
And all of it is how am I feeling? What parts of me are popping up? And then deciding, like actually choosing, consciously to like stay or go, to add to it or walk away. And it's, I think of noticing actually as liberatory because when I see what's happening inside of myself, then I see what's hurting, what's happy, what's healing.
Mm.
I feel like I have a lot going on in my life. Like I feel like every moment is like really meaningful.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm spending more of my time on the things that light me up, even if it's, work, because I'm like, work. But even work, it brings me
Mm-hmm.
joy because it doesn't feel like work
Mm,
Yeah.
because I'm doing things that align with me.
Yes.
I'm doing things. that are purposeful, have deep meaning. Even when I'm doing stuff that I have to do, like bureaucratic things that I don't like doing, um, there's meaning. There's meaning there. And I figured out ways now that I notice the stuff that drains me where I can enlist the help of others
Yeah.
or I
Mhm.
can delegate it. There was a time I was not a good delegator, okay? You know, just so many different options become possible. Even in exhaustion, right?
Mhm.
Even in deep, deep fatigue. Um, I'm talking disabling fatigue. There's joy because choices are being made, you know, and there's understanding about, hey, the day's a good day to rest, you know, and not feel a way about resting,
Mm.
right? Rest
Mhm.
is so much more restful when you're not feeling a way about it.
Yeah.
Right.
And yeah, I like myself. I like when I slow down and I notice what's going on
Mm.
with me
Yes.
and I'm loving up on myself. And I'll tell you what, something I've noticed is that people respond to that. When you love
Mhm.
yourself, ooh,
Mm-hmm.
people respond in good and bad ways,
Yeah, they do.
Mhm.
but you can just walk away from some of that negativity.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
It's a small act noticing that has big impact.
You,
Mhm.
you, it's so interesting because we started this podcast right with the parts party, and I talked about the part that was like, oh my goodness, you're getting work done. And the reason why is because I've been noticing.
Ooh, mm-hmm,
So
Mhm.
I would notice, similar to what you were saying, like about rest and work, noticing that at first I really had this like polarized situation where I was just like work, 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 and then like I would get like a shutdown, like no, you can't do anything else because you just no, right? So I was like,
mm,
okay, so I have all this work I need to do, but we're gonna do as much as we can. Then I notice like when my brain kind of gets like, we're done with this computer screen, that means we're
Mhm.
done with this computer screen, right?
mm-hmm. No pushing.
No pushing. We're done with this computer
Mhm.
screen.
Mm,
Like that's it, right? Like and just allowing that to happen. Then I'm like allowing myself to have an end instead of pushing myself, and it's not feeling heavy like I named, right? It's not feeling heavy. It's
mm,
not feeling so much because I'm noticing my body, listening to my body, like, okay, all right, and we're good. And,
Mhm.
and tomorrow we'll do some more work. And then when we tired of the screen, we'll close the screen. We'll go outside. We'll go for a walk. We'll, and negotiating and listening and making choices, like you're saying, right?
Mhm.
How you just notice those shifts and how it can be so huge. That's what's coming up for me as you was now. It's like, oh, Linda preaching.
mm.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
We got it in us.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's in there if we slow down
Yeah.
just a little bit.
Mhm. Yeah. What just came up for me is when like even in noticing like migraines like that I would get, and you know there was the option of getting on medication, or I need to drink a gallon of water a day, and then one day I decided to just notice the migraine because it's always on my left side, and it started talking to me. It's like this is the only way we know how to slow you down. Because when you have a migraine, like you have to stop everything. You have to stop work, you have to stop saying yes, and you have to rest. And I've been dealing with this for like years. And since then, I have not had extreme migraines. It'll start off slightly. And I'm like, okay, I hear you. All right, we gonna rest,
Mm,
right? So even just noticing that, like how it can show up, and the first thing I wanted to do was get rid of it. Like, my head hurt like that, but just getting curious about it. Like, okay, well, let me see what's here, and it actually communicates and it lets you know. So that has been eye-opening. Just me noticing what's going on with my body,
Mm-hmm.
where I'm picking up on things like, oh, something feeling right here,
Right.
and knowing how to tend to it.
Yeah. So, we have our bodies have that historical um memory of work. Our bodies have
Hmm.
that and what and we have to I feel like it just feels important to name that like our ancestors have been through with work and rest, right? And so I'll just say I was having a conversation. I was trying to a part of me was trying to have a conversation with a with a family member about work in our family because we my family loves to work. Okay, loves to work,
Hmm.
and I said we really have a hard time resting. Do you notice that? And they're like,
Hmm.
no, we don't. No, we don't. No, no, no. I said, well, your mom. I said if you when you were a kid and you say you were sitting down, chilling, resting, like would you feel comfortable doing that in front of your parent? They're like, absolutely not. And I was like, yeah. Like, so I was like, yeah, did you notice that? Like, because I remember that feeling when I got my first apartment and I was just like sitting on my couch and I was like, this feels weird to sit on my couch and do nothing. Like, this feels so weird.
Ooh.
Like and that is a notice, right? I didn't know IFS back then, but I know I felt that feeling of just like, oh, this feels like a don't.
Hmm.
Like, like I'm not allowed. Um, and we don't get curious about that and like whew, like my brain tells me or my body tells me enough with the screens, enough, then it's like all right, and the part of me that's like you could be using this time for this or you could be using this time for that. It's like you're right, you're absolutely right, I could, and we're gonna rest. All right, we're gonna rest on this time,
Hmm.
so and yeah, so it just feels important to name our like historical um burden of forced labor. Um,
It does. And then like that term lazy comes up, and yeah, it's a lot around that, and then also like even like with fun. Like I think of like, if I was singing a song, they're like, do you know your ABCs? Do you know how to like, so even that and trying to play, like it still was like I'm supposed to be like productive, like right.
man, man, oh man, isn't it something? That's definitely. It's like sometimes you're like, did our parents read the same book? Or do they all have the same sayings? Because
Right?
it's like, yeah, if I know all the words to like my favorite song, then it's like,
Hmm.
then like the parent like, do you know your spelling words for this week?
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm. That's what you need to be focusing on. You're too busy trying to memorize the song.
like
I just like the song.
like TLC is much more fun than my words. Just saying, like SWV is much more fun than the words. So it's like, yeah. But that's so interesting how, right, because we're so young, the messaging our parts get in and we don't get the nuance message.
Mhm.
We just get like, oh, we're not allowed to have fun. We're just supposed to focus on school, right?
Mhm.
Or not allowed to have fun. We're just supposed to be focused on like what's a priority, right?
Mhm.
And not make
Mhm.
space, which is something for sure my parts have been. Because I'm a neurospicy individual, new things can feel like fun things
Mhm.
in my parts. So, and it's still like just new work. It's not fun. It's not a fun thing in that trap, right, of it. And the part that's like, this isn't fun. So, this is still work. you're having fun because it's a new thing, but it's not fun though.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then I had to sit back and think about like where did I have fun, right? Too. Like, even at church, like singing, even though I had fun with my friends singing in the choir, stuff like that, it was still like you have to know your note, you have to memorize, you got to know words, like this is serious, you gotta okay, stand in like everything was like so
Mm-hmm.
right. So it's just so interesting when you bring up fun, noticing, right? If we have permission, like especially our listeners, right? Like noticing, just noticing if you
Yeah.
have permission in your body to have fun, to welcome
Mm-hmm.
like as a priority
Mm-hmm.
for you.
Yeah, that word permission is sticking with me. Like, 'cause it's almost like, what comes up for me is like we would wait for someone to give us permission, right? Like, especially if we were sick, it was like if someone could like validate us being not feeling well,
Oh
that
yeah.
was almost like a form of permission. Like, okay, I'm allowed to rest because I don't feel well,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Or organized fun, right? Because then we have permission in a way. Not too much fun. It has to look a certain kind of way.
Mhm. Has to look a certain way, right? And
Yeah.
what
Mhm.
what is this fun?
Mhm.
Yeah. And that was something too I noticed even with time off because I had a noticing of like, oh, I only feel comfortable taking time off during the end of the year because that's like the
Mm.
holidays when it's more socially accepted
Mhm.
versus
Mhm.
taking like just time off when intermediate, like right throughout the year and not
Mhm.
working to the point where I'm so tired that like 2 weeks before November, I'm like, like,
Mhm.
okay, when is Thanksgiving? Okay, right? Because I didn't feel like I had permission, right? Because
Yeah.
yeah, so much
Mhm.
noticing and how much it opens up choice. Linda, thank you for naming that. That's on a nice little space for sure of the liberation that comes
Mhm.
that we can welcome in and we can make choices about, ooh, oh, I feel so safe over here. Ooh, it's so easy over here. Ooh, I can just be
Mhm.
myself over here. I want more of this. Or, ooh, I'm feeling so, okay, maybe I don't need to do this. Or, oh, this feels heavy. I don't want it. Right. So we
Mhm.
get to choose and get curious about too, right? Get curious about, which I think is um, another thing I was wondering about or wanted to bring to you both about like when we're noticing our triggers or our activations around things, um, meeting it with curiosity, right? Getting curious about our big reactions.
Mhm.
So what you were also talking about, Linda, like before noticing, you could just be just be reacting, right? Just in it.
Mhm.
You're just in it. And you're just like, and
Mhm.
like, oh, this just Alicia, right? And then like, oh, I felt like I had to, right? Whenever I hear had to, I feel like there's like this urge of like urgency or like a ooh. If I don't, then like I'm like, if you don't, then what? Yeah. Like
Mhm.
extending curiosity to it. Um and sometimes it's just, yeah, so tell me, cause I feel like I'm talking too much. So tell me.
You're not talking too
Somebody jump
much.
in. Just bring curiosity to your activations and your
Mm.
triggers. Yeah. And what that's been like for you all in the noticing department.
It's interesting because I'm laughing because I do feel like I'm curious, but then I feel like I'm curious with an agenda because I want to know what you're doing, right? Because I would be sitting with myself like, what was that? Like, what? How do we go from 0 to 100? Like, what happened?
Mhm.
But it's like this. It's almost like there's this part that want to be nosy, but in a way so it knows how to shut it down, like to keep it from from happening.
Mhm.
Right, right. So
Mhm.
sometimes it takes me a minute. before I'm able to get like an answer. But I feel it, like my heart starts racing and it's quick. Like it's almost like I feel like a completely different person.
Mm,
Right. And then in noticing that, I was like, okay. I just said I notice you because I can't. It's like I can't battle with it because it's like, it's taking up all the space. But then once it starts to soften, it's like, oh, okay, that's what she was doing. That
yeah.
makes sense. It's not that you want to. You feel like you have to.
Yeah, I was thinking about, how deep that can really go, like into trauma, how hard it is to notice when there's trauma
Mm,
and valuable it is for healing
Mhm.
when you can meet, getting triggered with what was that? Just even what was that? You know, because there's a lot of, when there's a lot of our trauma around um, keeping us where we're supposed to be in this society,
Mhm.
supposed to be.
yeah.
And so there's a great incentive not to notice, there's a survival
Mhm.
incentive not to notice
No,
our
you
triggers.
That part.
And
Mhm.
so it's such a win just to notice and say, what was that?
Mhm.
Actually, what was that is number two. Number one, just noticing.
Just noticing. Yeah.
Like the power of noticing what an entire society violently wants you not to notice.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Programming.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
mm.
yeah.
To notice is a revolutionary act, is what I'm hearing you say, Linda.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm,
Yeah, it is.
yeah.
And I don't know that, you see how I tried to skip and go right to say, what was that? Mm-mm. I think it's really important to just notice
Mhm.
and get good at it. Baby steps are okay.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Because let's be real, we are not going to just sit there when we notice something like that.
Mhm.
We're going to be like, what? What?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. And having the courage to face it, especially if it's something you try to not be, mistakes you try to not repeat,
Right.
energy you try to not like carry on to the next generation. And when you start to like really look at yourself in the mirror, that's hard to do because there's some stuff in there where it's like I was trying so hard not to be that, right? But then to
Mm-hmm.
recognize like it's a part, and how can I learn how to be with it? Because trying to avoid it, it's like it's not gonna go away. It's still gonna be there. That's kind of like a part of the healing, like learning how to sit with stuff that especially our ancestors weren't able to. Like they, and we still have to survive, but just not only healing generations forward, but going back and healing like your lineage, right? Like
Yes.
calling in your healed ancestors and trying to heal your bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
that's a whole nother podcast.
That's a whole nother. Don't you get me excited here?
I've been over here taking notes. I don't know if you're seeing because I'm like, I'm not making a mistake and not writing it down this time. Yeah. The survival to not notice, like what was coming up for me was like the the culture we have around like um, the spectrum of disassociation that we have in our
Mhm.
culture, like to keep our
Yeah.
body disconnected from our head.
Mm.
'Cause
Mm.
systems will prevail, right? If we just keep our head disconnected from our body. Two, it's like the systems also persist to like it's like we're incentivized to not see our worth, to not see our humanity,
Mm.
to not see, yeah, to not lean into our curiosity, like, right, don't question, just, and when we notice, we notice like our humanity, when we start to notice our complexity, we start to notice, oof, there's so much more than we thought that, that
Hmm.
there to us. That's it is a revolutionary act.
Yeah, because it's still like that. It's still like that how being unseen is still a form of protection because when you start knowing too much, right? Like gotta know when to like fall back and when to lean forward and be
Mhm.
aware. Yeah.
That phrase, "you getting too big for your britches," came up, right? Like, so,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
what you
Makes a
asking
lot of
questions about
sense.
that for? What you right? You know
Mm-hmm.
how inquisitive children are by nature, like that curiosity. That's just a part of our humanity. Like that's right. That's who we are, and then how that gets just shut down. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, ooh. 'Cause then I start to wonder. I'm like, ooh, what could it be like for little black girls and little black boys and little black non-gender conforming children get to know like they matter. They
Mm-hmm.
like, and what if we get to say that, you know, and they get to see that, ooh,
Yeah. What
notice.
popped up for me is like disconnection is protection, connection can be a threat, right? But so yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's weird.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we're talking about noticing and we're naming that. I think it's important to what you all are naming, what we are naming too, right? That there are systems in place to keep us from noticing intentionally, to remove us away from ourselves, and how much it can be just the act of love
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm.
just to take that baby step, which is a big step,
Mm-hmm.
to notice you, notice what's happening inside of you. I truly appreciate both of you for all the mic drops and the seeds I was planted today. I had no idea at all when I said, we're going to talk about the power of notice, what was going to happen. But this conversation was so rich. I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate you both. And oh, can't forget the after party. I was about to forget the after party. What are you taking with
Mm.
you as we leave this conversation around notice?
I think for me it's just the gift of ways to notice. Um, I'm gonna take that with me because it's like just starting there can lead to so many places. Yeah. So I'm gonna take that with me. The gift of noticing.
Yeah, I'm gonna take. I'm leaning into the thing that we brushed up against, but I just want to make it clearer or underscore
Mm-hmm.
that, yeah, if we're not supposed to notice so we can survive, then noticing carries with it risk. However, the exciting thing about noticing, and this conversation touches upon that too, is that, well, knowing the risk, noticing the risk is a part of that noticing.
Yeah.
And so there's conversations then that can happen that aren't happening
Mm.
when a lot of people are noticing.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to sit with that some. And there is a risk in noticing.
Hmm.
Um, Noticing can change your life.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Noticing can change your life. And I think what I'm taking with myself is and sinking more into it is that liberation that comes with it, even through the risk, right? Even through the
Mm-hmm.
risk, as it can. Noticing can change your life. Then you start to notice, oh, right, like I'm dissociating because this isn't a safe space, right? Right?
Mhm.
Like, oh, I'm I'm feeling this way because this isn't sitting right with me anymore. I don't just
Mhm.
this isn't oh, okay. I get to make some choices and do something and different. And that's yeah, that liberation is so freeing. And I think what you're we're also like we touched on and bringing back to is like and that's grief that can come with that too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where there's liberation, where there's risk, there's also like grief of like, oh, yeah,
Mhm.
now things are gonna look different. Yeah. I'm choosing me. I'm prioritizing me, my safety in a different way versus
Mhm.
in the disconnection from self. Right.
Versus the way that somebody else wants me to
Yeah.
be safe.
Yeah.
Mhm. Safe. Mm.
Exactly. Well, thank you both so much. I can't thank you enough, but I have a part that's just, yeah, so gracious, and I am as well. So gracious to have you both here, and thank you all for joining us, the Black and Unblending podcast, our second
Mhm.
episode. I used to say, be cool, be calm, be centered, but I said, in this world that we in right now, however you are being, just notice it. Notice it
Mm.
if you're feeling inclined to,
Mhm.
however you are being, and we will see you next time. Peace.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to the Black and Unblending podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe and follow us on all social media platforms. See you next time. Take care. Peace.